An official who was previously working for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has tendered his resignation in response to Mick Mulvaney, who is the interim head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Now, Seth Frotman, who is the individual who has decided to quit his position, is the person who oversees student loans at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And this is an incredibly important job because the whole point is to protect students from predatory lenders. But what Frotman has experienced under Mick Mulvaney's leadership has been an organization that essentially does not look out for the consumer, but instead protects big business. So Frotman will be stepping down from his position as student loan ombudsman at the end of the week. He held the position since 2016. Now, just to give you a sense of how incredibly important this particular position is and how much it's helped students in the past, the office has returned $750 million to harmed student loan borrowers since its creation. So I want to give you a sense of why Mick Mulvaney has been so disastrous. He downgraded the mission of Frotman's student loan office and moved it under the umbrella of consumer education instead of enforcement. I did a long, detailed piece on No Filter, which Brett helped me produce, about Mick Mulvaney and how he has essentially taken the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau apart. He has essentially delegitimized it, has deconstructed it, and made it worthless, a worthless agency. I mean, the whole point of the CFPB, which was Elizabeth Warren's idea, was to have a government agency that really fights for the consumers, protects the consumers, and looks out for them rather than the interests of big businesses, big banks. And Mick Mulvaney has always hated the CFPB. He doesn't care about student borrowers. He's been very clear about that. And now we're seeing the outcome. Unfortunately, we have a moral person, a principled person stepping down because he sees that his role has been diminished by someone like Mulvaney.
Yes, it makes total sense. The person in charge of all of this ran Trump University.
I know.
You just kind of get it. It turns into essentially like, now you look at it through the lens of, well, it doesn't make good business sense to be returning all this extra money to people who spent too much money and were defrauded out of certain elements of their student loan fee and these exorbitant fees that have been paid out. There is a details, go read the whole letter. It has amazing excerpts.
Yeah, the letter is fantastic. So when Frotman quit, he wrote a letter to Mick Mulvaney. Various news agencies, NPR specifically, obtained that letter. And it's a long one, very detailed one, but I did pick some of my favorite excerpts from it to read to you guys. Again, this is from Seth Frotman's resignation letter. He says the following: unfortunately, under your, Mick Mulvaney's leadership, the Bureau has abandoned the very consumers it is tasked by Congress with protecting. Instead, you have used the Bureau to serve the wishes of the most powerful financial companies in America. Okay, stop. So one of the things that Mick Mulvaney did is he helped to strengthen payday lenders. I've talked about this on the show before. So payday lenders under the Obama administration had been regulated. I wish they were regulated a little more aggressively, but they were regulated and they were also facing a pretty serious lawsuit. Mick Mulvaney comes in and he's like, yeah, these payday lenders give me a lot of money in my campaigns, so let's just put this lawsuit on hold indefinitely.
Yeah.
So that's basically what he's looking out for. He's looking out for the people who've been preying on us.
That's it, and it fits the entire narrative of Trump putting people in charge of agencies for the express purpose of destroying those agencies. It is so transparent that despite what Trump has said, this stuff is not for you. He's trying to like build up his base, which is going to be blind to it, but you can make noise because if you want to go, like this is getting people at such an unfairly young age. This is a very early chance to get people in debt.
It's crazy.
And if you realize that the people in charge of the government, it's just so intuitive that like, if you let businesses run amok, if you let people who want to get people into debt, financial service companies, if you let them run amok, you get into the kind of trouble that it doesn't take a very long memory to remember.
I know.
You look back to that was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, a financial institutions run amok got us into the biggest FUBAR situation since the Great Depression. And it doesn't take a genius to find out why. It's just so out in the open that it's so frustrating. And another thing that's very obvious to me, we need to go to graphic 55. That's him, okay? Does this guy look like a villain? Yes. Does he look like a specific villain? Yes, graphic 56. This is the villain in the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark. For those of you watching, listening to the podcast, this is the guy that burns his hand.
That is uncanny.
Mick Mulvaney. Graphic 57 is a side-by-side.
That is uncanny, Brett.
So the two of these men, here's the thing, you can't opt into a round, and it's bad to make fun of people's appearance. The involuntary thing is the perfectly round head. Actually, I applaud his perfectly round head. Not his fault. Would love to have a head that beautiful, but you have to opt into these glasses.
And he did it. He opted in.
And maybe it's because the round glasses are exactly the same perfectly round shape as his perfectly round head.
Maybe he's the same person. Maybe that's the same person.
Yep.
And you were the only person smart enough to realize it.
I'm just saying, when I was Googling photos of these two, this is an official portrait, but I was Googling, someone else did it already, but I had the idea at the same time. Or before. I'm just saying, whoever that is. But yeah.
That's uncanny. Okay.
It's very frustrating.
So a few more things that I want to read from the resignation letter, and this is what I really want to get to. So Mulvaney has gone out of his way to protect big banks, and Seth Frotman calls him out on that. So after 10 months under your leadership, and when he says your, he means Mick Mulvaney's leadership, it has become clear that consumers no longer have a strong independent consumer bureau on their side. Late last year, when new evidence came to light showing that the nation's largest banks were ripping off students on campuses across the country by saddling them with legally dubious account fees, bureau leadership suppressed the publication of a report prepared by bureau staff. When pressed by Congress about this, you, Mulvaney, chose to leave students vulnerable to predatory practices and deny any responsibility to bring this information to light. Seth Frontman, thank you. Thank you. Because right now, it's so hard to find people in both politics and the media who are principled, who are interested in doing the right thing, who are willing to honestly hurt themselves in an effort to do the right thing. And I commend you for this because you do or did have an important role. And that role was taken away from you by someone who has no interest in protecting the American people and certainly has no interest in protecting students. So thank you, Seth Frotman, if you ever see this, for doing what you did. Want to see more videos like this? Well, you can. All you have to do is subscribe to the TYT channel below. And don't forget to become a TYT member and download the TYT Plus app on your phone. Head over to tyt.com/join today.